up your Garmin! Hi and welcome to the running channel. I'm Anna and today I'm joined by Mike, who you might recognise from our beer mile video. I'm not going to make you drink and run today though, Mike.
Thank goodness for that.
So Mike is from Wearables, so it's an online site which specialises in reviews and advice all about wearable tech, fitness trackers, basically anything wearable tech you can think of.
Yep.
Hence the name. And today he has kindly bought a selection of watches that we're going to run through, just to talk about, you know, the kind of stuff that's out there on the market, whether you're looking for a running watch with music, whether you want to go and head out on the trails, so one that's got great battery life or, you know, can direct you and stuff. So we're going to talk through all of these and hopefully give you some tips to find the perfect watch for you. First of all though, quickly, if you're new around here, welcome along, nice to have you here. Please do subscribe to the running channel. We upload new videos every week all about running, so make sure you tap the bell icon too so you get notified when we do. Okay, so first off we're going to start with some good watches for beginner runners.
Yep.
So maybe something that, you know, if you've been recording your runs on your phone like Strava or Map My Run or whatever it is,
yep,
you want to actually put a watch on. And the first one is actually on my wrist.
It's a good one to start with.
So what's this one, Mike?
So this is the Forerunner 235. It's actually a few years old, but I mean, I wouldn't hold that against it. It kind of still stands the test of time, really.
Yeah.
It's well priced. I think it's a very nice looking watch, first and foremost, which I think is going to be a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you more than those kind of basic metrics that you expect from most of these running watches that are here. So you might start looking at things like VO2 max, which kind of give you that kind of recovery and assessment of your fitness levels. And you're also getting the compatibility with something called Connect IQ,
Yeah.
which is essentially giving you the ability to add additional features to your watch. So extra apps, extra kind of widgets that you can kind of flick through when you're running,
Yeah.
and kind of data fields if you think you want some more metrics. So it's a really solid watch, very well priced and very good battery life as well. So yeah, I think that's a really good one for people to start with.
Yeah.
If you're kind of getting to running and you want to ditch that phone, really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, this was my first watch, and I love the fact that you can like go in the pool with it as well. So like it being waterproof, and you're saying about the widgets, you can like change the face to make it look like a different picture. You can download different pictures and stuff, go through the weather and all the rest of it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think I probably don't get enough out of it.
Yeah.
I know that there's more that I could, so.
And that's the thing, you can kind of get as much as you want from it. You can kind of keep that kind of experience really basic, but if you want those extra things, they're there.
Yeah, mine just doesn't come off.
Yeah.
At all. You know, weddings, black tie events, that is my.
I'm sure
my
you're not the only
faithful.
one.
Yeah. With my old hair tie wrapped around the edge as well. Whoops. So moving on from that one then, we've then got this Garmin, which is the 45.
So yeah, so this is the Forerunner 45.
Yeah.
So this is one of Garmin's newer watches, but it's definitely one of their kind of more entry-level watches. So if you're a beginner, if you're just getting into running, this is a really good option. So you've got the 45 and the 45S. So the main differences with those two are generally the size.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of difference in the battery life, but ultimately you're going to get a week, out of tracking your runs through it.
Yeah.
It's going to give you the basic metrics, so your distance, your pace, those kind of things. You won't have the Connect IQ support in the same way that you do on the 235, but you still have it for watch faces. So if you want to change the watch faces, you do have that potential to do it. And you do still have a heart rate monitor as well.
Nice.
So you still, if you want to kind of train with heart rate and heart rate zones, you still have that possibility to do it. And yeah, it's a lot cheaper than the 235. So yeah, it's still a very good
entry level, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Because when I first started, my very first was a Forerunner 25.
Yeah.
Was that even? I don't even know if it was a Forerunner. But there was no heart rate or anything like that. So I know when I got my 235, I was like, great, I've got heart rate data. So that's great that they're now introducing that as sort of like a minimum standard.
I think it is. I think now that they're realising that people are paying more attention to the heart rate, and it's not just for the fitness side of things as well. There's, you're in all of the Garmins, you're getting activity tracking as well, so counting your steps, but also monitoring your heart rate during the day as well to give you a better sense of your general fitness levels as well. So it's an important feature to have, and they're getting better in terms of what they can do. So
great, a couple of good entry-level beginner watches there for you then. Okay, so next up we've got 3 watches that we're going to run through for people who may be getting a little bit more serious and into their running. So we start with this Polar one, this lovely yellow watch.
Yep.
Nice size on that one as well, I must say, because I've got quite small wrists, so yeah, I like that one. So what is so special about this Polar?
Okay, so this is the Polar Ignite.
Yeah.
So it's actually not their premium running watch, but it doesn't mean it's not short of features. So you get the pretty standard kind of metrics for running and tracking. It also does other sports like swimming and cycling. But I think it's the interesting stuff that they've got here is they're doing more around sleep and kind of analysing, you know, what happens when you sleep and the recovery elements. So,
Right.
you go out and you do an amazing run, but you need to have that optimal kind of recovery time. So it's about giving you those insights in recovery based on the data that you track and you log with your watch. There's also a really nice feature called FitSpark, which is kind of creating recommendations based on your data. So if you go and do a really intensive run, it might ask you to maybe do some kind of stretches and something that's away from running to kind of supplement what you're doing, you know, putting your miles in. So that's some really nice features there on top of the kind of usual stuff you'd expect to get from your running watch.
That's nice, that's smart. I like it when it sort of like suggests things to you and you don't have to then use your brain. You've obviously using that. I mean, what I would say is what I found with my 235, going back to this one, was you know, when it tells you your recovery afterwards.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you've done like a really hard run and it says you need 3 days to recover, and I'm like, was I that bad? Was I that bad? How did you find, like, when you were testing the Polar, how did you find, you know, was it telling you crazy things?
Yeah, I think that's always the thing. It's like, you know, surely I did sleep, you know, much better than that. And it's like, it will tell you, no, you've slept really poorly and tomorrow you should probably get a better night's sleep. So, but, you know, part of that being a good runner is to kind of take in all those other aspects of it, and it's trying to offer that side of things as well, which is a kind of nice thing you don't get on all running watches. So yeah, it's a nice one, and it's got a nice summary band. So.
Nice summary, I love that. Great. Cool. So then the next one along, this one looks lovely. I really like the look of this, and it's not one that I've come across before. So this is the
Coros Apex.
Yeah. So that's what it looks like, and yeah, it looks like snazzy. That would look better for me to wear at like weddings and black tie events. That's really nice. So do you want to tell us a bit about the special bits about the Apex?
And I think it's interesting. So I mean, probably a lot of people haven't heard about this company. I mean, they kind of made their name doing cycling helmets, and then they decided to do running watches. And actually, it's a really easy to use watch. First and foremost, like when you start running, it's just one button. You click, you track your runs, and the data is very easy to kind of, you know, look through. Yeah. It syncs your data very quickly once you've done your run. It works with Strava, which will be important for a lot of people.
Yeah, if it's not on Strava, it didn't count.
And I think what I found really interesting using it is the battery life. I mean, the battery life in all of these watches are very good, but I've had it when I've had this in my bag for maybe a couple of weeks, and the battery life is still going even when in between tracking runs. So it's a really strong feature. You've got the heart rate monitor there as well if you want to train the heart rate. But it's just for me a really easy watch to use. You get that kind of advanced metrics that you wouldn't get on the kind of cheaper devices, and I think it's a really nice looking watch as well, so definitely one for people to consider as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not one that I'd heard of for sure, so really interesting to find out about the Coros Apex. And then we've got another Garmin. Obviously Garmin really dominant in the field of running watches, but this one is a special one, so the 245 Music.
Yes,
which was something that was a consideration that I had. I think was like, oh, I'd like to be able to have my music and not take my phone out with me, and that solves that problem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is 245 Music. It also comes without a model without the music, but if you do want to kind of, you know, leave your phone behind and just go running out with your watch, essentially you can transfer your music over to the device. Yeah. It also works with streaming services like Spotify, which I imagine a lot of people use. Yeah. Then it's a case of getting a pair of Bluetooth wireless headphones. You pair to the watch, and you're kind of really good to go. And you start tracking. You can still kind of skip through the tracks while you're running.
Yeah, just using your watch.
Yeah, and it's just a really kind of nice, slim. Again, another easy to use watch from Garmin, and you're going to get all the metrics that you probably want, and additional ones if you want it. So it's one that I've really liked, enjoyed using, and it's just a very good watch to run with.
So when you put your music on there, it's got some kind of storage ability to store the files, or is it better to stream, or?
It's up to you. You've got like enough for probably like 500 to 1,000 tracks on there, and it depends.
Probably a good long run then.
Yeah, so it should cover most distances, and I think crucially, with you've still got that good battery life. You've got at least a week's worth of battery life there to get you through those runs, along with the music as well. Yeah. Which will be important. It's no point having that music there if you can't still go out and run and get your sessions in for the week. So. Yeah, nice. It's a feature-packed watch and a very good running watch.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously comes with the standard sort of Garmin, like within the Garmin Connect app
so it's
features as well.
And I think a really important one there's some really nice apps for the 245, and if you're a big parkrun fan, there's a really good widget that I would definitely recommend for this. It shows your time, so that's definitely a good one to kind of look out for. So yeah.
Right, so we've got the next set of watches for super serious runners, those guys who love to go out for hours on end, get lost in the trails, but these ones actually mean that you don't need to get lost because you can download your navigation stuff to it, right?
Yep.
So these are mega battery life, mega extra sensors with data. So we're going to kick off with a Garmin, and it's this one. This is, I understand, your baby, your favourite.
That is my favourite, yeah.
So which Garmin is this, and why is it so good?
So this is the Forerunner945. So this is actually essentially Garmin's triathlon kind of friendly watch, but it's a pretty decent running watch. Everything it's the best of Garmin's running features, and a kind of really slim, kind of compact design. So you're going to get all those advanced running metrics. You're also going to get navigation features, so when you're out on the trails and you don't get lost. There's also some kind of interesting new sensors that we're starting to see in some of these watches that you do see in the 945. So in this, we've got something called the pulse oximeter sensor. Now, pulse oximeter is something it's kind of in the kind of medical space, but it's now finding itself into watches.
Yeah.
And it's essentially about measuring kind of oxygen levels in your blood, and the importance of that, particularly when you're kind of out in kind of elevated areas, is to kind of give a bit better idea of how you can cope in those conditions. Right. So you might get headaches if you're in high altitude, and it's about giving you a bit of data, an extra bit of data when you're outdoors to kind of ensure that you're safe ultimately.
Yeah.
But you also got those kind of core features that make this a great running watch. So you've got really great battery life. It works with all those kind of sensors that if you want to have that, additional kind of information, and you get the Connect IQ support as well. So there's plenty of apps and kind of data fields and widgets that you can kind of throw on there as well. So
it's anything you want it to be, really.
It's everything you want it to be, and you've got to pay a lot for it, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Amazing. And also, I mean, you were saying that it's like a triathlon watch, but I guess when you are running quite seriously and doing a lot of miles, you are probably going to be out on a bike and doing some swimming as well. So it's nice to track all those activities too.
That's good, and you've got all that data in your Garmin Connect app. So it's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. And then the next one that we've got, I mean, this one is pretty beastie. So this is a Sunto. Quite a big thick one, that one. So what is so special about the Sunto?
Okay, so this is the Sunto 9, and as you kind of mentioned, it's a bigger than a lot of these watches, and they go for this kind of very robust, kind of tough, durable design, because it's kind of designed for people who are out trail running, out hiking, out trekking.
Yeah.
And
so
you want it to last.
Tough.
It's got to be tough. So you've got that, that protection around the screen. You get a lot of the features that you get on these kind of other watches. So all the metrics you'd want, all the kind of navigation features you wanted. With this as well, you also get some interesting battery kind of modes. So with Sunto, they're exploring this idea of giving you enough battery, or letting you learning how you have enough battery for the run that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you put it on if you're kind of planning to do, I don't know, 20, 30k run, it will kind of make sure you're in the optimal mode to ensure that you can track that entire run.
Yeah.
That's a really nice feature to have, and nobody wants to go out tracking and realise their battery's died and you've lost half of your run, or all of your run. So that's a really nice feature to have. And again, you've got really great battery life and heart rate monitoring and everything else. So a big watch, but there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
So
packs a punch.
Yes.
And if you're going to have that battery sort of support, as it were. I guess it needs a decent battery in it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. And then finally within this section, for the more serious runners, we have this one, which is, remind me what this one is?
So this is the Polar Vantage V.
Oh yes, it's the Polar. So what special features does the Polar have?
So I think the interesting thing to say about Vantage V is it's kind of the follow-up to the V800. Now the V800, if you look at a lot of elite athletes, it's the kind of watch that they use. So this is kind of the follow-up to that. Again, you're getting all those kind of advanced running metrics. You can do your swimming and cycling and all the other kind of sports that you'd probably track with it as well. There's a lot of kind of training and analysis that you can kind of tap into after your workout. So the idea you can pay a bit more attention to those recovery periods and having, being in optimal shape to take on that next training session.
Yeah.
Also, I think one of the most interesting things about it, it's the first watch to offer running power from the wrist. Now, so power is a metric that's kind of come from cycling, and it's starting to filter its way into running as well. A bit like heart rate, it's about kind of measuring and monitoring your races and your running to help you be more consistent, keep your pace, and ultimately have a better, quicker run at the end of it. And this is the only watch that will let you do that from the wrist currently. So that's a really nice feature if you're kind of looking into those kind of more advanced metrics like running power. So.
Yeah, and there are people who absolutely love a stat. Like, I'm terrible at maths, but I do love a stat because I have so many things on my data screens on my watch because I want to know all of it. So it's interesting that that's now going to be an extra metric that you can take into consideration. What so when it comes to running power, what's that like a scale of? So like obviously your heart rate would be like one scale, and your pace is a different thing. Like
so it's kind of looking at the similar kind of metrics that you would get from your feet basically, and in toe cadence, but it's vertical oscillation, those things that you would have to get an additional sensor and wear on your trainer. And pair with one of these watches to get that information.
And that's doing
it's
it from your wrist.
And it's doing it from your wrist. And essentially, the idea is that it can give you a bit more consistent kind of gauge of your performance than heart rate maybe would. It takes a bit of time to kind of get to grips with power, but if you wanted to kind of do that, this is a kind of a good watch to kind of do that with. So.
Okay, so last category, we've got the two on the end here, and this is something that I've spoken to you about before. It's about new runners who they ask me, oh, should I be wearing a watch? Can I wear an Apple Watch? Can I wear a Fitbit watch? What's the difference? Do I need to get a specific watch? So we've added these ones in as well to talk about the merits of those for running. So we'll start off with the Apple Watch. Yeah,
so I imagine this is the one that most people are familiar with, and I imagine when people have thought, I'm going to start getting to running, maybe I should get an Apple Watch. Obviously it's a smartwatch first, but it's a very good running watch as well. You get everything you'd want from a kind of running watch. The GPS is great on it, it's very, very quick. You also have that option to kind of put additional apps on there, so you've got stuff like Runkeeper and Strava, those can all be kind of loaded on there. You've got the heart rate monitor stuff as well. So, it's a solid smartwatch, and it's a really good running experience. I would say if you're training, regularly throughout a week, you have to be wary of the fact that you've probably got a day's worth of battery life. But if you're willing to charge it every night, it's a really good running watch, and it's one that I see more and more at races, and I'm not surprised really, because it is a very good watch.
I guess because it's sort of that like every day, it kind of adds to your life in different ways other than just running, and I guess for, like we were saying, new runners as well, if they're maybe going and doing a park run once a week, and that's their running for the week, then that's great for them because they can use it during the week for their life stuff. And it's still there ready to run.
And that's the thing, a lot of the features that you get in here, you'll get on these watches as well, but I think it's a nicer kind of experience, like things like notifications when they come up. It's a little bit nicer of a nice experience on the Apple Watch, and you get all those running features and sports tracking features as well, which is really nice. So, but still a very good running watch. Just obviously be wary of, how you're charging it and how much you use it. So
one of my friends uses it for running and says that you can record voice notes on it while you're running, so when you get all your amazing brainwaves when you're out on a run, you can just talk into your watch and record it.
There you go.
Which I definitely need because I always forget. So that's a cool sort of one for if you like your tech as much as you like your running, I guess.
Absolutely.
And then the last one that we've got on the end there, we've got the Fitbit to look at, so the Fitbit Versa Lite.
So obviously the Apple Watch, It's not cheap.
No.
It's very expensive, you know.
It's like buying a new phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking for something similar in terms of a smartwatch, but you don't want to spend as much money, you can look at something like Fitbit. And the Versalite is kind of one of those watches that kind of, you know, is down in that smaller price bracket.
Yeah.
The difference is really, you know, you can track your running. You can track your running with the motion sensors inside of it,
yeah.
But by doing that, you're probably not going to get the same kind of accuracy as GPS.
Right.
But if you're willing to take your phone with you, you can kind of piggyback off your phone's GPS,
yeah.
And still get that kind of mapping and get that accuracy. So you've got that. You've also, you know, you've got that really nice kind of touchscreen display. Another big difference between this and this is the battery life. So obviously you've got maybe a day, a couple of days max. With this you've got 5 days, 4 to 5 days. Even when you're tracking, which will affect it, you can still get, you know, you're keeping yourself away from that charger for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of nice, really comfortable watch to wear. And if you're willing to run with your phone still, it's, you know, it's a good option to get for. So
a lot of us do still run with phones as well, don't we? For like
yeah.
the safety aspect, for being able to call people. But I guess with the Apple Watch, you can call people from that.
Yeah.
But with, you know, with people carrying their phone anyway, I guess it doesn't really make too much of a difference with the Fitbit. And I think the thing about Fitbit as well, for me as a brand, Fitbit was always the wristbands that counted your steps and you had to hit your 10,000 steps, but it's come on so much in the development of their watches that they really are like a consideration now, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a good one for beginners as well because it's very easy to use. The app is very easy to use and the watch is very easy to use. So if you know you're overwhelmed by you know, us talking about all this data and you really want that kind of basic experience but still getting those insights, it's a really kind of good option to look at. So.
Yeah. Brill. Well, thank you so much for bringing all of the watches today. It's been really great to chat through them all. Look at the colours, it looks really great. Hopefully you found a watch there that maybe meets what you want and what you're looking for in a watch. If you've got any questions or comments that you want to leave, please drop them in the comments below, and also anything that you want us to ask the wearable guys as well, because hopefully this won't be the last time we see you. Not scared him off. So leave any questions to the wearable guys below as well, or any suggestions of videos you'd like us to do with them next too. And we'll see you next time on the Running Channel.